Yeah. Where can we get a copy of your closing illustration?
What I just read?
Yes.
I don't know. It's on my laptop. And I'm not giving. Well, I guess I could put it on the web.
There's a follow-up.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Can we get it published in the Catholic Voice, a publication of the Oakland Diocese?
Oh, that'd be super cool. That'd be super cool. I'll do that. That'd be great. This is a good time for me to mention the RuthInstitute.org website. There's a lot of content on there. There's a lot of free material on there. Yeah, we've got stuff for sale back there, but you can go to RuthInstitute.org every day of the week and you'll find material you can use in different aspects of the marriage debate. Most of it free, and there's new stuff on the blog every day, okay? So for those of you who are not into blogging and stuff, you gotta get in, have your grandchildren explain to you what that's all about. But there's new content on the blog all the time, and I would invite you to, kind of join us in the blog sphere. You can also be my Facebook friend. But yeah, I'll turn this over and we can put it in the paper. That'd be great. You got another one?
Thank you, Dr. Morse. Judge Bork warned some years ago that we were inexorably defining degeneracy down. Studies show younger tiers of voters are more open to same-sex marriage. Hollywood, the media, and courts are arrayed against us. Is there hope that the pendulum will swing back?
Okay, this is a great question because it's a nice, non-complex, simple question. Well, first of all, the first thing I have to say to all of you is that despair is a serious sin. Okay, so just put that, always have that in your mind. Okay, is there any, thank you. I didn't make that up, okay, so you can clap for whoever made that up. Despair is a serious sin, and, sometimes seems to be no natural reason for hope, but there's always supernatural reason for hope. So we have to put that in our minds too. But to the first point that the person mentioned, which is that young people seem to be against us. That's true. Young people seem to be against us. And you know something? In 1973, everybody thought, well, all you dinosaurs who don't agree with abortion are going to die off, and young people are going to think it's a done deal, and it's going to be no big deal, and everybody's going to, get on with the program of creating a great new world of sex and reproduction being completely separated from each other. And now we know that's completely false. So the fact that young people are favorable towards same-sex marriage does not trouble me in the slightest. I'm not accustomed to turning important decision-making over to 18-year-olds in my life. You know what I'm saying? No offense to the 18-year-olds in the audience, but I just do not abdicate just on the basis of that. But that is also the reason for the existence of organizations like ours, like the Ruth Institute and like ISI and the other groups, is to work with the young people to address them. And if I could pick out one core problem that the young people have, one problem they have is that they don't get the significance of gender. Okay, they have been taught that men and women are interchangeable. Okay, so now if you don't get the point of gender, you won't get the point of gendered marriage. Okay, and that is important because in a lot of what you do as you're going through school and going through college and getting your first job, it really kind of looks like men and women are interchangeable. It really kind of looks like, the girls are as good accountants and, everybody can do all the same things, so it really kind of looks like it's all good. It's only when you start having kids that gender just comes roaring to the surface, and even the most committed egalitarians flip out over the fact that the baby prefers mom. And that mom enjoys holding the baby more than dad does, and dad picks up the baby and throws the baby in the air, and mom flips out. It's like all of a sudden, they oh my gosh, an alien life form. I'm married to an alien life form. What is going on? It's like, that's the first time people get that men and women are different. For us, we didn't get it until we were infertile. Okay, the infertility experience told us we were different because we reacted to it differently. Right? It meant something different to me than it meant to my husband. So the fact that teenagers or college students don't get it yet doesn't worry me, but it does mean that we have an obligation as adults to address them, and to address them seriously where they are. This might be tougher.
Dr. Morse, what information or statistics do we have that same-sex parents are creating less able adults than the norm? Follow-up, is it better for children to be raised in an orphanage or another group home or by a same-sex couple?
Okay, I get these questions all the time. The second one is a gotcha question. And I presume the person who asked it wants to know what to do with it when somebody asks this gotcha question. What are we supposed to do with this? Okay, so let's talk about the first one first. Talk about that statistical question first of all. What do we know about same-sex parents? The short answer is we don't know very much. We know some things, but we don't know very much. We know almost nothing about male couples, about two men raising kids. There are only a handful of studies. What we know about the studies from women are that they are typically have very small numbers, and typically the samples are not particularly representative. So they are usually people who have volunteered to be part of the survey, and usually people who are higher education and income than the average person. So the results that you have from them are not particularly generalizable to the public as a whole. In fact, there was a study that came out in February that was so bad in this regard. I get so tired of these studies. I actually have on my blog, I have a category. You know how you have categories on the blog? You click there and you get all the articles on the category. I have a category called Debunking the Mainstream Media. You know, because there's so many of these studies that are so bad, and I actually read them. You know, I don't just read the headline, I read the whole thing. And when you read them, you find out that there's 75 observations. You know, they're drawing these great conclusions based on 75 children, self-reported by the mother about their functioning. So I got so frustrated with this, I just decided I've debunked so many of these stories, and I'm so tired of this. I decided to just have a little fun with it, and I ran my own survey. I asked my readers a volunteer sample, okay, exactly like the volunteer sample that they had, you know, where they went around to lesbian coffee houses to get their data, to get their sample size. I asked my readers, okay readers, agree with this statement, you know, on a scale of 1 to 5. My child treats me with more respect when his father is home. Yes or no? Okay, now this is a question that is never asked by anyone, but I suspect that many of you know why I asked this question. Okay, when my child's father is in the home, does my child treat me with more respect? The answer, typically overwhelmingly in my sample of like 300 people, said, you know, 75% said, absolutely, yes, of course my child treats me with far more respect than when his father is in the home, okay? So there are so many crazy things in this data, and we're expected to disregard the whole body of evidence that says married men and women couples are significantly better than other family forms. We're expected to throw out all of that data. There's hundreds of studies on that point, and we're supposed to believe that's all statistical artifact, and to be overridden by these coffee house studies. You know, it drives me crazy. Okay, so now then the second part of the question was, what about these poor kids in foster care? Okay, this one drives me crazy also because I used to be a foster parent, and I will tell you flat out. Was anybody else here ever a foster parent? Okay, in a Christian audience, you'll find other people who are foster parents. I wonder why that is. What you know from being involved in the foster care system is that the barriers to children getting placed have nothing to do with the lack of parents, with the lack of willing married couples. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with insanity in the system. You're nodding your heads, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I mean, the kids languish in foster care because the courts keep them in foster care, not because there's nobody there to adopt them. American married couples go all over the world to adopt children of other races, to adopt children with handicaps. Why do they do that? Because they can't get parental rights from kids who are in the foster care system. And they don't want to put themselves and the kids through the whole ordeal that goes on in the system of trying to extract, you know, trying to finally figure out, is this kid going to be with his birth mom, or is the kid finally free for adoption? You know, it has nothing to do with the availability of parents. And so if people are really serious about doing something for kids in foster care, inviting same-sex couples to apply would be way down on the list. of things that you would do to correct that system. So that's part of why that upsets me. The other reason that upsets me is that in the UK, where they're a little further along in this whole process than we are here, parents who were, people who had been foster parents for a long time, after same-sex marriage happened and as the gay rights agenda proceeded in the UK, parents were asked to sign affidavits basically saying that they were not going to be homophobic. Now, who do you think that excludes from being foster parents? Of course, it excludes practicing Christians, right? And so who do you think is overrepresented among foster parents? There are a lot of Christian people who do foster care, right? And so, to me, nobody ever talks about that side of it. That if you're going to create a non-discrimination rule, you're going to kick out Catholic charities in Boston and San Francisco. You're going to kick out a lot of people who are going to continue to believe that men and women, boys and girls are different from each other, that aren't going to be allowed to participate in the foster care system. You haven't created any net increase in the number of foster parents available.
Okay, good.
Dr. Morse, we want to thank you very much for a most engaging and sadly technologically interrupted presentation. That she can prevail gives us hope that we can prevail.
Yeah.